holding Larry underwater for 2 minutes and then just going, I don't think I can get away with it.
No, actually, the story goes, I crashed in a kite. I was flying in a kite on a water ski, and I crashed, and I got tipped underwater, and I couldn't do the easy release very quickly, and I never did actually get it released. The boat got back to me and pulled the kite out of the water, and then I was able to get the easy release off. So I had to hold my water the entire time.
Speaking of easy release, live! Live from the Plague Pit, it's Guys, Games, and Beer!
Yay!
Ooh, somebody was crispy.
Am I crispy? Maybe that's me.
I'm not 100% sure. You know what I did? Oh, I got it right!
You got what right? And
There we go.
I never did.
Here's you talking.
Okay, I shouldn't be crispy.
I don't know if it was you. I'm not 100%
All right.
sure. I think somebody just hit the top of their mic.
All right. Okay, so Rob.
I'm lost. Hold on a second. Hey, guess
Come
who's
on.
in the house with us today?
Who's in the house with us today, Rob?
Seppy!
Seppy with Fight in the Box Games?
Yes.
Certainly,
I swear to God, I think
certainly
he
one of
said Fight in a
our
Box
most
games.
entertaining guests at you featured in 2 seasons of Gamehole Con.
Oh my
I
God!
love Gamehole Con. I do. I love it, Larry. I love it.
It he is kind of our star attraction from Gamehole Con, and we're great. It's great to have you back here tonight, Seppy. And you're here tonight because you're going to talk about what you guys have got coming up. And what do you have coming up, Seppy?
We have End of the Line, The Inevitable Machine Revolt. Woo! It's the End of the Line Bunker Edition, which is the reprint of our very cult classic, sold out board game about post-apocalyptic family survival. Now, this is a big deal because I have to constantly tell people I'm a board game designer, not a prophet.
Well, right now I'm thinking you might be kind of a prophet.
You know,
People, you should have been playing this all along.
I'm starting to get a theme here. I mean, whether it be aliens that are processing us or apocalypse coming to scarce our resources, there's a little bit of a theme here.
Yeah, well, I have four titles, and all of them have cannibalism in them.
There we go.
That does sound right. Yes.
Okay.
All right, so
Did you change your name from Jeffrey Dahmer?
No, my God, amateur.
all right, so so this game is coming out, but you guys are also about to have a Kickstart for this game, correct?
Yes. So this is the reprint plus the expansion plus the upgrade all in one, and we call it the Bunker Edition. It's going to happen April 28th. I don't know if the public knows that yet, but it's going to be Tuesday, April 28th. Hopefully, the world hasn't gone so crazy that people don't want this game, but we're really excited about it. It's been 7 years in coming, so yeah. It's great.
So let me ask you this. So would you say this is a more of a re-envisioning like Willy Wonka to Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, or a reboot like Star Trek to Star Trek?
That is a great question. It's sort of like the mini reboot between the Star Trek pilot with Commander Pike and the Will Shatner upgrade.
Ooh, I like that. That's a very good analogy for this.
And I appreciate the deep cut.
I went all the way down into the nerd hole. I held my breath for 2 minutes waiting for you to get this kite off of me, Larry. And then I came back up and said, hey, look at me. I'm Supreme Nerd. Don't mind the brain damage. So, yeah, no,
Say that
this is
quite
the
often.
vision
Don't
of
mind
the
the
game.
brain damage.
Yeah, what?
Say that quite often. Don't mind the brain damage.
Yes,
All
get
right.
the brain damage.
So we're going to start.
Yeah.
Jacob, you get to ask the first question here.
Larry
Even though we've
already
asked it
asked the
already.
first question.
I know he did. He doesn't know how to go in order. All right, Jacob, what do you got? What do you want to ask Seppy?
Okay. Reviewing your page that we saw, I saw that you have on there that it says most games end in a loss, like 40% of them or whatnot.
Right. And if you
Now,
play...
I have a couple other games that I have that great, but yet most of the time the game ends in a loss, and I'm finding it harder and harder to go back to those games to play.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, it is. It is. That's why
Well,
my
you
question.
know what, I mean, that is a point
He
of
needs to be more of a sadist like us.
success and reward. I mean, it's kind of a point.
All right. Okay,
You
so...
How do you combat this, or how do you think your game would combat this?
do you want the old guy story version where I go around in circles, or do you want the straight to the point version?
Old guy
How
story.
is that big?
Oh, let's go old guy circle version, please.
All right. So when any old guy story starts with how I grew up. I grew up Asian and gay in Detroit. No place makes you more ready for the apocalypse than Detroit. Like, seriously, if you've been there, any street that, like any city that has a shut down power to whole sections of the city permanently is a place that people are running around with chaps and mohawks and bare-chested and strapping people to the hoods of their cars.
I have a buddy. I haven't been to Detroit, but I have a buddy that was trying to describe it to me. And he's like, so buildings are burned down and they never take the time to remove them.
No, why would they? I mean, I think the record is Devil's Night. You guys don't have Devil's Night, but 196 house fires. Yep. They had to make putting bars on the windows of your house illegal because people were doing that to try to ward off crime. But then during Devil's Night, people would trap them in with fire and they burned to death. I mean, nothing is more post-apocalyptic than that. Okay,
yeah.
So
just watch The Crow.
I was gonna say, that was based on a real thing.
Yeah.
And this level of violence and toxicity got transferred to Canada because I don't know if you know a little town way out in Saskatoon is a tiny town out in just by the Winnipeg area. If you people don't know the geography, go straight up from Minneapolis way up into that part of Canada. Okay, but I'm from Detroit, so think about the cable TV that they got in Detroit and all the normal channels ended up going out into this rural part of Canada. What happened? The 6 o'clock news, Detroit news, suddenly gets to Saskatoon. They start watching it. Saskatoon became the murder capital of Canada.
Wow.
Okay?
Wow.
All right? So how does this relate? Like, how do you come back to, like, such a punishing game over and over and over and over again? Okay?
Right.
There is so much pain and awful in the world. If I can do one thing on the planet, which is get people to laugh at themselves and laugh at losing, then you're ahead of the game. End of the Line is very much a game about laughing at other people's pain and laughing at your own pain, because in the whole process of the game, you're trying to make these plans to do harm to others, and invariably they backlash and do harm onto you. And if you think a Rube Goldberg Machine of Death is hysterical, then your group will come back again and again to End of the Line.
I do find that to be hysterical, so I'm interested in.
But on the other hand, you do
You
60% win.
Just so you know, typically if you've seen it run at the convention, when everybody loses at the end, everybody is cheering and clapping.
Crazy.
I have not gotten
Because-
to see it
we
play.
just don't talk.
when you see it happen, everybody thinks that they deserve it and that society should end. And that is how a game of End the Line ends. I mean,
We had that coming.
coming.
That was a really good old guy story. You really did go
Well
way
done.
back and bring it back around. Okay,
I tried
Larry,
to make it happen.
you did. All right, Larry. So you already asked a question, so we'll come back.
Yeah. So what I was trying to get at is the idea of how different it. And I thought about this all day of what examples might be a good example. Is basically like so people who have maybe knew of the game before its kickstart or before the when bought the original version and then the version now. Would it be like worth it for a person to like jump on this version because it's so different or it's got some other elements that are just super fun and
Well, again, I like the reboot. The geeky reboot was a perfect one. All right, so let's go ahead.
Yeah.
Heather, do you have a question for Seppy?
I don't know. I got to answer to Larry's
Oh,
question.
wait. Okay.
I really think we hope so. If you're like poverty stricken currently, you can get what's called the Six Sigma pack, which is basically the expansion filled with cards. And I'll send you basically a Ziploc bag with all the stuff you need to throw in your original box. You can totally do that if times are tough. But we always wanted the vision that the Bunker Edition has both the original game and the expansion, The Inevitable Machine Revolt, in it. And it's how we always wanted the game to be if we got to the stretch goals, which we got 3 stretch goals in, but it was our first Kickstarter. There was no way we could take on all of the stuff that would make it the super version that it is now. Like in this new super version, there's resource stands. Everybody's individual bunker is an actual bunker. You can see the resource stands there and the pictures. The meeples are now silk screened. It's spectacular.
All right.
If you're a collector of games or if you're a fan of ours, it might appeal to you. But again, if you just want a new way for all of your friends to suffer and die. Now that picture is particularly awkward. I discovered that when you mix the two meeples, the original meeples with the new meeples, you get odd social situations.
You're talking naked meeples.
You said it. Everybody
All right.
can see.
This guy's about to have a threesome.
He
He hasn't dressed yet.
All
right.
He looks like he's kind of like in a farmer porn.
Yeah.
oh, gotta love farmer porn.
Let's go on to Heather. Heather, do you have a question for Seppy?
I'm not sure how I can follow up farmer porn after that one.
Oh, now this one, the one you just
Only one
posted,
question now.
you realize that's all of you guys as meeples.
Aw.
Larry's the little purple one.
Thank you.
Wait, is this a dog? Is that
I
a
just
dog?
spit
I
my
think that's a
beer.
Got a
dog.
nice hat.
So is that Lederhosen? Who has that on there?
That's
You
my
know,
dress.
Again,
Nothing wrong with Lederhosen.
it's obviously an homage to Boy and His Dog. If you've ever seen that old post-apocalyptic movie,
Oh.
or again, I was gay in the '80s. Sometimes you made bad bad
just the
fashion
80s?
choices, and I may have gone to go to a bar wearing only overalls, and that's it.
You know what? I mean, the
Looking at
overhauls.
the picture.
The overhauls, meh. But Lederhosen's, hey, all right.
Yeah.
All right. One
absolutely.
more time.
For a kill.
Let's get back
I'm
to it.
just
Heather.
wondering which one the diesel dyke is in that picture. Okay. All right.
Heather, what do you got? for
Seppy!
Seppy?
Hey.
Hey!
As a new lover of your games, for anybody who has never played any of your games before, what would you, in 10 seconds or less, how would you want to describe how your style of gaming to those? who have
Rambunctious
never
fun.
done
Mean fun. Yeah.
Frenemies,
I mean, yeah.
your neighbor
it-
while kissing him.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And like, the themes are wild, but like me, they're smarter than they look. I guess I'd say I think the answer is smarter than they look. Let's go with that. That's a better answer. Yeah.
And do you think this particular game versus your other ones, probably if someone was just starting out, never owned any of your games, had never played them, would this be the one that you would say, hey, try this out, you'll get everything you need to know about the style of games that I do?
That's a great question. If it was at a convention and you get a chance to play in one of my events where I run the game, that is absolutely the case. Yeah, like at Game Con, if you get me to sit down and give you the full game demo, it's a learn as you play demo. The expectation is everybody will die. That really is yeah. That's the experience that I want you to have. If you're unsure about us and want to try the games out, I would not put anybody on the hook. You can start with any of our $10 games or $12 games. Like, I don't want anybody to feel bad that they listen to me or anybody else. Like, I got cheated.
Well, now to be fair, I actually you were very gracious and gave us a copy of Squirrel or Die. I do bring it to a bar and we'll play it, just a real quick thing, and it's got the elements. Basically, you're gonna die, and so
there's a theme running.
There is a theme running.
Yeah, we're always going back to Detroit. Now, on a serious note, it was horrible being Asian in Detroit during the automotive crisis. I don't know if you guys know who Vincent Chin is, but he was a guy who was Chinese and who was beaten to death by two unemployed auto workers. And they did not spend a single day in jail, nor when the civil suit came up, did they spend lose any money or property or anything else. And it was basically because between a jury of their peers, everybody understood you should be angry at Asian people to the point where you're allowed to beat them to death.
Yeah, because I mean, you wouldn't want to blame it on the executives who made the bad decisions that caused you to lose your job. I mean, that blame some random guy who was living.
There was a super unhealthy relationship, in my opinion, between the automotive industry, the UAW, and then the government in Michigan. Like, the government in Michigan has gotten worse. The Supreme Court ruled that the Michigan Supreme Court ruled that citizens of Michigan don't have a constitutional right to clean water.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that is true.
Why? Because I don't want it to be political, but this created this is a fact. This is what happened to Vincent Chin, and this is what happened to those people. And so, like, awful things happen to people. And why do awful things happen to people? Generally, it's because just like our situation right now is a perfect example. The worst things are the worst people act, right? There's a reason that people are crazy in the post-apocalyptic movies, and it all makes sense to people, because the more under duress people are, the more insane they act. People who are, living the good life are less likely to be awful to others.
That doesn't really explain the rich people in this country.
Yeah. That's a whole other thing.
All right, let's hop on. Rob, what's your question for Seppy?
Okay, back here.
Whoa! What?
No, you've been talking about Larry.
Yeah.
I just want to say that
Where's his mute button? Where's his mute button?
that was.
I got a whole bottle of
less talky.
Oh, wait, that's it. Don't make me pull
You can't
out
drink
the
it. You got a bottle in your mouth.
That's a good
I was
Or
just going to
something,
say
or something else.
that does sound very tough, and that was really hard, man.
All right, Rob, what's your question for Seppy?
All right, we're looking back at this picture. I want to know what's this cat about.
Oh, the cat mini expansion. One of the things that our fans had always liked to bust me in the chops for is the original End of the Line stars a nuclear family. Okay, a nuclear family is dad, mom, boy, girl, and dog. Okay, and so my people said, Seppy, this is a terribly heteronormative, and I'm like, do you know what happens? Do you know what happens to these? Do you know what happens? Yeah, you know what happens to these? Yeah, that's right. You know what happens to these heterosexual couples during this game? Let them have this one. Don't. But no. So we
Let them have it. Let them have it.
So we had the alternate family packet so that people could create the polyamorous queer family of their dreams. So
I mean, everyone should suffer equally.
You can have, you can have your dad couples, your girl couple, your mom couples, your sub out adults for dogs. Do whatever you want to do. But then people are like, Seppy, I want to bring my cat to the apocalypse, and I ask the same question: do you love your cat? Why do you want to imagine your cat in this situation?
I want to bring my pussy to the apocalypse.
Yeah,
it might make you more.
I'm just gonna say right now, Boy and the Dog ends between the woman and the dog, and it doesn't end well.
Stop! There's no spoilers. No,
I'm sorry about that. Sorry about that. I didn't say which one he ate.
No spoilers. So the cats are not just a substitute for dogs. The cats are a mini expansion. They behave differently. Things that kill dogs and humans and robots don't kill the cats. They're hard to control. If you choose to
die.
Right. If you choose to grab a cat, if you try, you'll get a little bonus because cats are harder to play with. That kind of thing. It's fun.
Oh, cool.
Very
And
cool.
Very cool. Thank you, Seppy, for doing that. By the way, thank you for
cats. Everybody should have cats. If they want to have cats.
QAI community and bringing that in because almost no games that have this kind of family dynamic ever bring those into the game. So thank you.
Yeah,
you would like to bring your cat into the apocalypse because she's not sure how she feels about the cat.
Like in real life, it's harder to play an alternate family in the game.
I'm just gonna say, we all know what happens to cats.
Didn't say it was been easy. Didn't say it was going to be easy. It just makes it's nice to have the representation there and have that option to be able to bring that in. And if you really want to make it that much harder, go for it.
Yeah,
I just really want to fuck.
It's a little harder. I know because of the mechanics of the game, it's in the history of con games, and I've run hundreds and hundreds of them. Only 3 times have vegans won with the dog by themselves. The vegans who like this game think it's hysterical, but they live the vegan lifestyle. They're like, it's the human's responsibility to take care of the dog, and so the dog will be the last character. And if the dog wins and everybody else is dead, they think that's a huge success. And so, in the history of end of the line convention games, that has only happened 3 times.
But it's also the dog can win. The dog can win at the end.
I kind of want to have.
I mean, the fact that's better.
I kind of want to play it where I just eat everybody.
Yeah, well, that's you can, I think. All right, so I've got one question for you, Seppy. So you talked about stretch goals on the first time this was released 7 years ago. Can you allude to any stretch goals you might have coming up on this new version?
Ooh,
yes, we're basically going to give you more promotional cards that are topical and interesting and funny. I don't want to do any spoilers for that.
19 card.
Yeah, something like that, maybe. Like the first promo card that comes with the game that we haven't revealed yet is Massive TP Horde.
Yeah.
There goes my question.
A promo card that comes with the cat expansion is called Tabby King. It is a weird marriage cult weird marriage cult card. If that kind of thing is funny for you, the reason that we label clearly that the game ends at 40% of losses is it is super punishing. And if you think super punishing is funny, then it's for you. But if you're like, oh my God. Now, in the history of con games, there was one convergence here. One kid, and I say a kid, he was like 13, maybe 12, came back and played End of the Line 7 times and died every time. At the end of the game, after he died the 7th time, he goes, "Your game," and he's crying now, and he's like, "Your game is so hard. I love it so much." And then he went his dad for a hug. And his dad just looked at him and goes, "Yeah, my son really loves your game." And then this kid is sobbing deeply into his dad's arms.
Wow. Seppy, the game simulator that brings families together and tears them right apart.
Definitely
back together again.
It's perfect.
He's like, his dad was like, "Yeah, my son really loves your game," and so forth and whatnot. And there's an awesome family of super fans that we have in Ohio, and one thing that is a characteristic of our games, a design quality. The smaller the game, the meaner it gets. So it's like a knife fight in a phone booth, right? And so the meanest version of End of Line is actually the 3-player version. There's no place to hide, right? Your combos, it's not as much chaos, but you're setting up to see if you can get your killing blow to happen, okay? And there's a family, a nice, awesome Ohio family. It's just a dad, a mom, and a son, and they play this, they say, at least two nights every month. That this is the game that they play. And I'm like, "Oh, you're my people, yes." And like the dad with the crying kid, "You're my people." I know that because of my personality and because of the games I make, I will never be like a superstar, but there are weird people who are like me, who this is a game for them. And I think there should be a voice of these types of games out there for people to enjoy. Does that make any sense?
It makes perfect sense.
Yes.
All right, we're going to go on and let's see who's next on the list. Dallas, you're next on the list.
Pass. I don't have any questions at the moment.
Okay, sorry. Tyler, how about you? You got a question?
Yeah, actually I do. So I like this idea of games where actually losing is very common. I was curious, are there any games specifically that inspired you or that you love where that is common in?
Okay, so old guy story or short answer?
Oh, old guy story.
Old guy story.
Old guy.
Okay.
Keep Seppy talking.
There's a weird like synergy, and it's not exactly synergy. Yeah, we all swim in the same sea of stimulus. Okay? And somehow the mechanics and vision for a game that I have is happening simultaneously in Poland. Okay? There is a game about standing in line in Cold War Poland for trying to get clothing and other kinds of stuff. And it's produced by like the Cold War History Museum in Warsaw. I forgot exactly what it is. The pronunciation sounds like cloaca, but it's not. It's like something else. I always mispronounce it, but yeah.
I've actually heard of this, yeah.
Yeah, no, there's an actual game. And so the first time I ran into that Polish game was after we were in the throes of trying to run the Kickstarter for this. So now games that I feel like influenced this game was like I always wanted to do Agricola with mutant farmers.
Wait, did you say Caligula?
No. Agricola, Agricola with mutant farmers, where the peasants eat each other, right? And then I was a real fan of the idea of scaling up something like Guillotine. And I really, really, really like a programming mechanic. And so I did my version of it. So I would say if you put Robo Rally together with the Agricola and the Guillotine, that would be the sort of original end of the line. Now, the expansion does a couple of things that change that mechanic, because family placement, which is it seems almost mechanical, less strategic, becomes really mean in the expansion. But I would say those three games, if you fused them, that is where end of the line is. But simultaneously, did you guys play Nemesis?
I did not.
So Nemesis, again, is by Polish designers, and that game has every mechanic of every game they ever liked. They never said no to a single mechanic. If you had to play Nemesis, and it's weird because some of those mechanics are in my games too, and so it's like, and that game was a real big success. So there's a weird sort of synergy. Whatever is influencing, to answer your question, whatever is influencing me is influencing Eastern Europe.
Oh, that just, I'm not gonna lie. That does not sound particularly promising, Seppy. I mean,
Well, we're back to Detroit.
Eastern Europe does not sound good right now.
Oh my God, yeah. My husband will walk around shirtless. He's gotten all buff since he went to rehab and lost 110 pounds. And I'm like, what are you rocking, the sexy Putin look? What the hell are you doing? 'Cause,
Whoa! You don't have to get buff to go shirtless.
Well,
I think shirtless
Proves
is
that is possible. This is coming from the expert.
Seppy's husband right now. Okay.
that is literally, that's sort of the thing. But it's usually me riding the bear.
Oh, all right. Well, I know. We kind of left that one wide open. Okay, I agree with Omega Cyber.
Yeah.
If he's that buff, we want pics of your poop. All right.
What?
Oh yeah. Okay.
Pixar didn't happen.
Exactly.
I want
Okay,
picture your Putin.
I'll go shirtless
Well.
right now.
Why did Ryan just mute himself? Ryan, you're up.
I was coughing.
Fun fact about polar bears, that there is a disproportionately large number of them that are hermaphroditic. So when you talk about polar bears, they're not only going to go extinct, they're going to be another queer thing that goes extinct.
Oh, God. Wow. Okay.
All right.
On that note,
So, kind of went on my one question I was going to ask with the topical current event stuff. The TP thing has been answered. So I guess since I'm at the end of the line, that worked.
And you get nothing!
And the Kickstarter is going to start soon. When do you think it'll actually be available after the fact?
That's a great question, and I love you asking that question. Just so you know, every Kickstarter that we've had has delivered early on our Kickstarter promise.
Oh.
So the original End of Line delivered 3 months early. The original processing got 5 months early. And then Headcog.
But the little hand signed note inside it. So not only did they deliver it early, Seppy hand signed notes and put them in the damn boxes 5 months early.
I did. You spoilers. There's nobody's fun. I do.
Being early can be a problem, but not in this case.
No.
Yeah, we go that, like, fight fans are amazing. I'm really lucky to have the people who like our stuff, and who have gotten us. We're 7 years now, and it is just awesome people, and so yeah, sometimes I sign thank you notes to everybody who back it.
Literally everybody. It was really unbelievable.
Yeah, I did that. No, we love the fight fans. The fight fans are great. We're wacky because obviously I'm way out liberal, but we were picked up by the #1 prepper podcast. And when you go, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, that is really bizarre.
The fact is that we get along. We have a super diverse audience. The fact is, if you go as far left as you can almost see the right.
I've been saying that for years.
Yeah, no, usually my fans say, I want to fight for the right for my friends, my gay friends, to smoke weed at their wedding and shoot guns.
Sounds like a wedding to me.
Yeah, that's I mean,
sounds like a Friday night.
Yeah, it's like Michigan is the only place that passed gun control as a state, but then overturned it after they put measures in, because you can be a liberal and like guns and try. And I'm ex-military. It was one of the few ribbons that I got with sharpshooting. So it's a thing.
No, I understand that completely. There's a lot of us liberals who like guns.
Yeah, you could be a liberal like
right here.
Someday someone will be sitting around going, yeah, that old eagle eye, Seppy.
He knows how to get a bear to shoot. I'm sorry, knows how to shoot a bear.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, Seppy shooting bears is a whole other episode.
Okay. All right. So we've gone through the list. Everybody's had the chance to answer their first question. So now we're just going to do a little bit of shooting the breeze with Seppy. So if any of our audience has
questions, we're going to free ball it.
We're going to free ball a little bit. I'm all good with Coke.
I need a cup of tea bag.
Okay. So what we're going to do is we are going to. If any of our audience wants to ask a question, go ahead and either type it in the Facebook chat or type it in our Discord chat right now, and we will ask Seppy that question for you. Otherwise, we will just have a little discussion with Seppy for the next, say, 15 minutes, and then we're going to kind of wrap this whole mess up.
Was I a big downer? I don't know, like, in my sense of light and dark, people generally say, Seppy, you have the fluffiest, whitest exterior on the darkest, most hideous gravitas core.
The fact that all your games kind of have cannibalism in it might be a little dark.
I know it's all I get to have fun with cannibalism.
To be fair, and that you're right. I'm getting that. I'm getting that idea. So where there may be a dark spot, you're sort of almost poking fun at it.
A spot as large as Jupiter.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of get it. Maybe I don't. Maybe.
Yeah.
All right, so Rob, do we have any
These
questions?
are not outcomes you're looking for, I guess, is the point. But it's like, hey, let's muse about it.
Yeah. I mean, I generally feel like if you can laugh at a thing, you can start talking about a thing. And currently, the most painful thing in America is brand politics. Everybody currently is forgetting that we're more alike than we are different.
No, I just want to vote for my flag.
And we're all in it together. We're really all in it together.
Wait a minute, Larry. Which flag is that? The freak flag?
Well, yeah, that's probably true. My favorite flag is a purple flag, but nobody votes for that one, so I guess I got to go blue. But the point is the idea that we spend more time talking, trying to commit. Yeah, I own that flag.
I know you do.
True flag. But the idea that we sit there and talk more about winning people to our flag than talking about ideas. And I think that I understand that brand politics idea, but I didn't have a word for it till I heard it now. And it's it's just more. It's more about tribalism and yeah, just adherence to a flag than it is to whether or not I think whatever you're saying to me right now has any value. And I think that's a shame. And I think that maybe doing some games around some avant-garde sort of situations might bring us to a place where we can discuss things differently.
So what you're saying, Larry, is that End of the Line is a game that will bring people together as they eat each other.
Yes.
Hopefully this season. And good wine.
Yeah, I mean,
Sums it up. Oh,
you know, I mean, you know, I'm on the right side of the Terminus clan. So
okay, so now wait a minute. So all right. So we talked about the name of the game, and so for those of you who don't know the game mechanics, there's a reason why it's called End of the Line. Seppy, why is it called End of the Line?
End of the line refers to obviously the fact that everybody loses, but also because if your character is the last one in the line, you collect nothing.
Right, you get nothing, sir.
And it's a strange thing because it's a survival game, right? And you have to survive all the terrible things that you made happen, right? It's not a take that game where you're punishing individuals. You have to punish yourself if you want anybody else to die.
So it's back to Joe Exotic, the first tiger eats.
So what ends up happening is if people are really good at killing off everybody else in line and they're the only character that's left, they're then still the end of the line and then they get nothing. It's a very clear social commentary.
You need to be a bit of a vampire and keep some people around to suck off their
Or you need to be Carol
succulent blood.
That's right. You don't actually have a society or a working economy without people. There's a lot of social commentary. All my games are weirdly autobiographical or based on pieces of fiction.
Wait a minute.
Most of the cannibalism.
I'm a little concerned about the autobiographical part.
Well, all right, look at this. Okay, so processing. You guys play processing. Is the jungle. End of the line is like the road, the board game, and I don't bring that up because that's really depressing. Hedgehog Hop is it's every dance era that I participated in. And Squirrel or Die is really Crime and Punishment.
Okay.
Wow. So you have a 10 or a tradition of quick hitting games, card games and stuff like that. But you talk about a rich history of things. Have you ever thought about doing a tabletop world?
Like an RPG?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. That is on my bucket list for the company is to publish the world that my RPGs take a place in. I have been running campaigns, like the current one's 7 years, and it was for me. Gary had died, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna do a campaign, and I did all the graphics for it. They're all in either black or white. There's no gray tones in it. And a set of world that takes you from sort of the beginning genesis of your characters to the apocalypse. I'm very excited about making that happen. We looked at trying to get editors together, and that may or may not happen. I haven't figured it out. So where that is in the timeline for us, it is also a weird leap. But books as a whole are much easier to produce than board games. So yeah, I'll have to figure it out.
Well, I mean,
does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, I mean, so that's a bit of it's on the works. And so have you done any? I mean, you haven't talked about it, so I done any books about the world, the sort of more, because one of the things I think that's super challenging about any kind of RPG or anything is game mechanics are all one thing and things, but I think the more challenging is a cohesion world that you've created. And have you done books on that? Maybe
I'm going to
unpublished.
give you two details, Larry, that will answer that question, hopefully, for you. As a GM, I shoot for 2 hours of prep for every 1 hour of play. And one of the characters for my current campaign, his character sheet is 72 pages long.
Holy shit!
Wow.
That's way better than my
Wow.
D&D group, which just shows up and then drinks a bunch and we fucking wing it.
What?
Wow.
So the narrative, it
So
includes
is your
multiple
your friend publishing?
These are all interactive stuff. I was very lucky to be in college in a literary campaign where everybody played a ruler of one of these fantasy races and places on an original planet. And so all you could do was tell your advisors what you wanted to do, and so you wrote that as a chapter. And then if you wanted to interact with the other characters, you had to send them missives, and so it was epistemological campaign as well. So it was all just sort of done by letters back and forth between the various people. And my book with graphics ended up being like, I don't know, 200 and some pages. So I very much want to. I very much want to sort of put together. I think there's a place for the kind of story that I want to tell.
So there's a Cloud Talk vision that's just waiting to explode.
Well, I think the most important question now, what is your favorite RPG system?
Which one are you saying? Which one I played the most, or the one that I always just like get sort of misty-eyed about, or
Both.
what's the best convention game?
Yeah.
100%
Like,
both.
What's the one you prefer?
My campaign I run in they made 3.5 an open source, so I made my own version on top of 3.5, and I like that version a lot. It changes the core like danger mechanic of Dungeons and Dragons. I played and run a lot of Shadowrun. Just the world was always good for me. But the one that I always wish I could have had like a more successful campaign in, and I think is so rich, is Ars Magica. Oh my god, that game is cuckoo bananas. But for convention games, I think some of the most fun convention games I've played have been Dread. Have you guys ever played a Dread RPG?
Nope.
In Dread, there are no dice. Instead, you pull from a Jenga tower. If at any time the Jenga tower falls, for any reason whatsoever, the person who's responsible for that immediately dies.
That's amazing.
Dread is a great con game. If somebody's running that, so it's the only convention game where people start hunkered on the table, and then by the end of it, everybody is yelling at each other about the crazy Cthulhian or evil situation, the horror situation you're in, but they're all standing 6 feet from the table. The whole mechanic of it building up tension as the tower gets more unsteady, and because you can make your check by taking one thing, or it might take, you're doing something particularly difficult, you might have to do 3 pulls, right? And then so it quickly scales up into this insanity, right? And then, or you could say, no, I'm going to choose to fail. What's the ramification of failing? And so there's this negotiation of pain that I really like. Yeah.
Hold on a second.
We okay?
You okay?
I had to turn off Larry because he
Larry,
was
right?
going like crazy when Seppy
Yeah,
was
he
talking.
wasn't going.
Am
still there,
I
Larry.
better now?
You're much better now, Larry.
Yeah.
Oh,
There you
Well,
okay.
I want to label one thing.
Can I-
One people that I don't want to be ableist. Dread is a game. There's the whole Jenga mechanic. I like games that anybody can play individually, but Dread, I do think there's a place for alternate and weird mechanics that the mechanics in the game greatly heighten the sort of experience. And Dread is almost always this horror situation, like Blair Witch kind of story that when they're really good, you're mounting towards this terrible, right. And at the end, right, like any kind of Call of Cthulhu story, you might all die or go crazy, right? But obviously that's my aesthetic.
All right, Seppy.
Right, you're wrong now.
Real quick, I have to ask the big question. Since you are a tabletop RPGer, what is to you in your mind when you run and when you play? What is more important to you, mechanic or story?
Story. I like having somebody who is a mechanic, so that I'm making sure that everybody use mechanics basically to make sure that everybody can envision the world in as close as possible a way. That is the purpose of mechanics. So I like somebody who's there to help keep me honest about it. But ultimately, I always roll a story that is story first. And if there's a lot of plutonium in an adventure, I will let the players know that this adventure may be more or less on rails, or this one might be more sandbox, or this one might be sort of a whole choose your own adventure based on, and then let them know so that they can be on board with the type of story it is and set expectations so that they can get the most out of it. Does that make sense?
That
Yeah.
is absolutely phenomenal. Love it.
So here's the thing about Fight in the Box games, and this is what I love about it. So again, I know you're more story based. I'm a mechanics game. I like a game that's got a good mechanic to it, and their games have both. I love the backstories to the game, but the mechanics play so seamlessly. You can get on board with the game quickly. Everything makes sense. Everything's weighted well. That's what I love about your games. I mean, they've got a great story. And a lot of it's about the backstory with the game, because they're not heavy, and it's not like an RPG, but everything makes sense. And then the mechanics work so flawlessly that you can enjoy the story of the game as well and have fun with that.
Aww. I'm terrible with compliments. I'm Asian. Why did you do that? Inferred excellence is expected.
Well,
Get on board with the program.
You got both. All right. Yes.
No, thank you so much. We try really hard. We want things to be approachable and everybody can enjoy each other with it. And we like simplicity of learning with depth of play, which is a hard balance. Our next small title is called Mouse, Cheese, Cat, Cucumber. It plays in 14 minutes. It is our third in the Squirrel or Die Hedgehog Hop Tiny Box series. It's fantastic. I'm so proud of this one. I got to interact and have as co-designers, these two young designers from Minneapolis who got to participate with me. It was really great for me as an entire experience. I think you guys will love it. It is Mysteries in Maze Building. Yeah, it plays in 14 minutes, and it's Mysteries in Maze Building. It's great.
So
it's absolutely, you're building a mechanical maze. Yeah, for you guys. And if you let Larry actually touch the cards, it's 35. You know whatever.
All right, Rob, I'm going to have you start to
When is
wrap
that one
this
going to
up. What's that?
Before the
when
World
is
Went
this one?
Insane, that was supposed to be for Christmas this year. Hopefully we'll still be able to do it. It'll be, if you participate in the Hedgehog Hop Kickstarter, you'll know that we kickstarted it in September and we delivered it to everybody by the end of October.
And when does your new Kickstarter start off?
April 28th.
All right.
Edition is April 28th. And hopefully we'll still be able to make the timeline. It depends, obviously, how this Kickstarter does and what cash flow is like, depending on the world going insane. Conventions are a huge deal for us, and Adepticon is a big convention for us. And that obviously isn't going to happen. It didn't happen, and then Origins got pushed back. So to keep our little indie game company has been going for 7 years, and we've never taken out a loan. Our entire how we got it done was we handmade those original wood squirreler dies. Have you guys seen the wood squirreler dies?
No.
No, yeah. Well, we used a laser machine and lasered and then hand printed the bags and then packed them ourselves. And I sold 1,300 of those convention to convention for the first 2 years so that I could build the audience to do end of the line.
And then promise sexual favors for everyone to buy the rest.
Yeah, that's, you do
what you gotta do.
We don't talk about that.
I do online gaming and I'm really old, and then people love to make mom jokes, and I'm like, she's over 70. If she can get some, especially from you, good on her.
Darn right.
Hey, we're a small independent company on this end too. I totally understand the need for what you have to do. So.
Yeah.
Are we still talking about your mom?
Yeah. My mom. She can do whatever she can do too. Yeah.
All right, Rob, why don't you wrap this mess up? And if anybody wants, we'll stick around for a little after show. But Rob, let's make a cutoff point here.
Huh? Oh, yeah.
I'd like to start this point of my Rob interrupting session.
No, not now, Larry. Not now. You missed your chance. All right, Rob, go ahead and wrap this mess up.
Hey, you've been listening to Guys, Games, and Beer. Guys, Games, and Beer is brought to you by...
Sure have.
We're going to mute you, Larry. We're going to mute you.
I fucking quit.
Wait a minute, Rob.
Wait, Rob, did you want to talk about how this episode was delivered by Lionheart Racing?
Well, he might have until you interrupted him, Larry. All right, Rob, wrap this mess up.
There, now that I've muted Larry. Alright, I unmuted him. Oh, I can't live without. Anyway, alright, you've been listening to Guys, Games, and Beer, brought to you by Lionheart Racing. Lionheart Racing. You want some racing? Don't want to put up with those rubber hot dogs? Well, hell yeah, we got the deal for you. If you go to
you can still make them at home, but do watch Lionheart Racing.
Why did I fucking unmute him?
I don't know.
You can go to www.guysgamesandbeer.net, and on the top right-hand corner of the screen, you can click through to Lionheart Racing and watch some Lionheart Racing.
Yeah, because there's no sports on TV, so you might as well watch these guys race. Because you know something? It's actually better than real racing.
Yeah, because you can comment in live time and not get hauled off.
And they do have indie circuit racers that are a part of the cast of drivers.
I know, which is really even more impressive. All right, Rob, what else have we got going on, Rob?
Well, if you want to check us out at YouTube, the YouTubis, you can go to www.youtube.com/guysgamesandbeer. If you want to check out some free games, do you like the free games? Do you like the free game? I bet you like the free games.
We love
you can go to. You do ya? That's
we
good
love
to
them.
hear. You can go on Twitter and at Guys Games Beer. Every once in a while, my good friend Tom here gives away a free game.
I'll be giving away some games tomorrow too.
What, you want some more? Well, you can hang out with us on Discord where we give away free games all the time. Thanks, Dirty
Holy
Freaking.
shit! How many? You gave away 3 free games just before the show started, Rob.
Yeah, I did. We give them away before the show just to make up for the horror that this show is. I said horror, not horror, by the way. I want to just
Well, you might be a little horror. in
want
there
to
too,
keep
Rob.
that straightened out. But anyway, you can go to www.guysgamesandbeer.net. Yet again, top right-hand corner of the screen, there's a link over to our Discord station where we give away games all the time. I mean, it happens all
Holy
the
shit,
freaking
yes.
times. Because, unlike Tom, I'm not stingy with the damn games.
I'm stingy, okay?
I give away everybody else's games. Yeah, true story there.
Give it away, get away now.
But wait, you want this crap live? You can watch. Yeah, this crap. That was good. You want this crap
Sounds
live?
good.
You can do it at www.facebook.com/guysgamesandbeer.